This video tutorial is for my C++ program that is a quiz program that reads from a questions file and asks questions from that file in a random order and grades the user. It gives them feedback as they answer each question, and then at the end of the quiz gives the user their overall grade for the quiz and gives them the option to record that grade so that they can keep track of their progress as they. The first function in the file is the parse file function. It's called from the main function with a string argument of the file name. In this case, I'm using flashcards.txt. The format of that file needs to be fairly specific. The first line is the question header. The second line is the actual question. And then the last line of each question needs to be terminated with this delimiter. The second to last line is the correct answer to the question. Everything in between the text of the question and the correct answer can be the possible answers. So the program is written in such a way that you can have as many possible answers as you would like in the middle part of each question, as long as the correct answer is the second from the last line. It will reference all of the possible answers from that point. So the parse file function is the function that will actually open that file and parse it. It's going to use this while loop using this getLine function that's part of C++. This will go line by line throughout the file, and for each line read that into a text variable that I've called line here, and then take that specific line and assign it into a map of maps. So the way that this map of maps works is essentially you have for each question we keep a question count, and then it iterates through, and for each line reads that line into that question map. Then it would increment the line count by 1 and read the next line into the next available spot on the map. When it reaches the delimiter, which is right here, it will reset the question, or it will increment the question count by 1 and reset the line count to 0, and then increment it to 1. So now we're on to the next question. The map of maps I've defined as a global variable up here, so that we can reference it throughout all of the functions within the program. Another global variable, which is an array, a dynamic array, is defined here at the top. And within the main, once we parse the file, we can now actually define the size of that array, because now we have our questions map. So we call the size member function on questions and get the size and assign that so that now we can actually get the correct size of this asked questions array. And the asked questions array is just used to keep track of the questions that we've asked, so that we don't ask the same question more than once during the quiz. So once we've done that, we go to the main part of the program, which is the start quiz function. Start quiz function will run inside this while loop until either the user presses Q as an answer to a question, which means that the user wants to quit, or all of the questions are answered. So once we've gone through the entire file, we'll force this given answer to Q so that the while loop will terminate. The first thing that we're going to do in this while loop is generate a random number using C++ rand function, and first we have to seed the rand function with a unique number. Otherwise, you'll get the same sequence of random numbers every time you call the ran function. So an easy way to do that is to just use the current system time, since every time that the program was executed, it will be a different system time, so that you'll always get a different sequence of random questions, or random numbers, correct. The next thing we do is I have a function called already asked, which essentially just will take the random question and compare it to the asked questions array one by one, and if it matches any of the asked questions, then we'll set this found match to true and then return the found match. So if it doesn't match, then we've already set this as false, so you'll get a false return. So this while loop will run until basically we get a false from already asked. If we get a true from already asked, it will generate another random question, and then, and then check with already asked again with the new random number. So now that we have a good question, go ahead and add it to the array of already asked questions, and then we'll go ahead and ask the question. The first thing we do is go to this print top line function. The print top line function just basically takes and prints the question number, and then uses this set width command to get a formatted space so that we can print a total percentage complete of the entire test in a fixed position every time, so that doesn't move with respect to the actual question number. So the next thing is we'll go to this ask question function. Ask question will actually return the correct answer for the question. The first thing that ask question does is create a struct that will contain the question header, the text, an array with all of the possible answers in it, and then a correct answer within the struct. Then we basically assign a variable of a type of that same struct, and then define we define the size of the array inside that struct based on the fact that the number of questions is always going to be the total size of that block of questions minus 3. Here we'll just iterate through. If it's the first line, then it's the header. If it's the second line, then it's the text. If it's the third line, all the way up to but not including the total block size, then it's a possible answer. So that'll be read into that array. And then once you get to the point where you're at the end of the block, then that would be considered the correct answer. Ask question will actually print out the header, the text, and all of the possible answers, but it won't print the correct answer, obviously. It will return that back to the start quiz function, which called it. Here, start quiz is going to wait for the answer from the user. If the user selects Q, then the while loop will break and the test will terminate, and we'll go on to the stats portion. Other than that, it'll compare the answer. If it matches the correct answer returned by ask question, then it will say correct, and it will increment this integer array or integer variable. Otherwise, it's going to tell the user it was incorrect. And then here we evaluate whether or not we've asked all of the questions. If we've asked all the questions, then we force the given answer to Q, which would then force the while loop to exit. At that point, we'd move on to the print stats function, which we call with the number of correct answers. The print stats function again takes correct answers, and creates a percent correct. This has got to be a floating point number, and even though correct answers is integer, we do a conversion on it here. And also this questions.size is also a integer, so we've got to convert it. We've got to type convert it here, and then multiply the whole thing by 100 to get an actual percentage. And then when we actually print that out, we convert it back to an integer, just so that we have a nice, round number. We don't have to deal with a whole bunch of places after the decimal point. Then we ask the question. We ask the user whether they would like to record the score in the stats file. If the reply is yes, then well, first we're gonna check their reply and see that they said yes or no. Otherwise, they need to try again. Either tell us yes or no. If they say yes, then we'll create an output file stream object, open it, and then append mode. That way, we don't end up overriding every time they run it. We just get a running total every time that they execute the program. And then we call current date time, which is right here, this function here, and it returns a string using the time function. We call local time on this time function, and then this ASC time is just a nice formatted, human readable format of that time. Once we've got that string, we do some more formatting with it here, and then we write it to the stats file along with the percent correct that the user got, and that's it. The stats file ends up looking like this with each score written in there. The questions can be really anything. In this case, I've actually taken the FAA Private Pilot Knowledge Test sample question bank, and I've extracted 20 of those questions and put it into a file. But you could really use anything as long as you follow this format of basically the header, the question text, and then use this delimiter with the correct answer being the last line before the delimiter, and then all of the possible answers being between the correct answer and the actual question text. So now the final result of the program here. I happen to know probably most questions because I've been through it a bunch. If you get the correct answer, you're told you're correct. If you get, say, the incorrect answer, you're told you got an incorrect. Up at the top, you can see here that we're keeping track of out of the total number I've got in the file, and then this is how far you've been through the test thus far. I'll answer a couple more. Soon happens to be C. If I remember correctly, we get there. Answer one incorrect here. I'll go ahead and quit out so you can see the print stats function. So I'll select, and it's telling me that I answered 3 out of 20 correct, and asks me if I would like this score in the stats file. We'll go ahead and say yes, and it added stats file, and we're all done. We'll take a look. Stats file, and there we go. Our latest. Not a great score, but it's because we stopped a couple questions into it.